Hey Marvel Zombies fans, hope you're having a good day. Yep, that's right. Today we're going to be testing the Warpaints Fanatics on a white primer and a black primer, and the contestants for that is Colossus, Zombie, and Hero versions from Marvel Zombies. And we're starting off with a little warped yellow here, and we're covering up the white first, and then we're going to do the black next, and we're going to be doing that throughout the whole thing. We're using the exact same paints on the two models, but with the two different primers. And right off the bat, I don't know if you saw the short. If you didn't, that'll be popping up. You can take a look at that video. That'll show up right now at the top of your screen here. You can click on that and see a quick view of what I think quickly on a black and white primer with Warpaints Fanatics. Right off the top, you can see that the yellow goes on really nicely on the white. On the black, however, you can still see some of it underneath, so you will need a second coat. On the white, what makes a difference is that I find that it's so bright and the colors are so vivid already with the Warpaints Fanatics that it already does a good job covering. And I don't know, I find on top of the white it went on super well, super easy, but on top of the black it has a little bit more of a hard time with it. And you're trying to, okay, it's fun to have some darker areas, but you're not creating a shading and all that right now. You're going to have to put a wash on later. But I do put a second coat on top of most of the paints. I'll tell you which ones I don't as I go through, but this one definitely needed a second coat. Moving on to our next color now, we're going to be using some pure red on the rest of the outfit of Colossus here. Again, on the white, look how vibrant the red is, how well it covers. Now, I don't know if it's a difference with the primers I'm using. I'm using air primers, both matte white, matte black. I've been using them for a long time, but the black itself might make a difference. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to try a different black primer or something else to see if that makes a difference. But at the moment, again, this one only needed one coat. It covers up perfectly. It gets everywhere, you get a nice coverage of it. However, then when we move on to the black primer, you'll see again how it doesn't cover as well. Hey, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and turn on your notifications so anytime I put up a new video, you get notified. And as just a small little caveat here, I just want to let you guys know that I am sponsored by Boutique FDB. However, they do not pay in any form to get advertising. They just give me a small discount at their store for me to buy paints and other supplies from them. They do have Marvel Zombies in stock if you're looking for it, and if you're in the area, they do have it in stock along with most, or if not all, the expansions from the Kickstarter. So go take a look at that and go check them out. Great little store, great little game area. Very friendly. You'll love them there, and tell them Easterling sent you. All right, they'll know who that is, or Rob the Easterling. They might get that a little bit more. Or the guy who paints miniatures on YouTube. No, they're good friends of mine. They're good people. So as you can see now, going on top of the black primer here, again, the black still showing through, not getting the same coverage as on the white. Now, I didn't dilute it differently. I used the exact same wet palette, the exact same squirt out of the bottle. Didn't change anything. I made sure I had enough on my wet palette to use on both colors so that I didn't get more out of the bottle. Because sometimes when you squirt out of the bottle, you get maybe something's a little different, or a little more pigmentation, a little less, a little bit more medium. It can happen. And sorry, I went a little bit off camera there. Again, I have such a hard time recording and painting at the same time, but you get the gist of where I'm painting on this zombie version here. And again, it's really hard to determine again which one's zombie, which one's not, but I do a little of my own little touch-ups on it to make it look more zombie-ish. Okay, now we're using a metallic paint, and this only needed one coat on both of them. However, I do have to say it went on much easier on the black paint. And I like the fact that some of the black showed through. It kind of already did your highlighting in a way for it. And on the white, it was actually hard to see what was already covered up and what wasn't. It is so bright and it shines so much, just like the white, that it was hard to see, oh, did I paint this area? It was bouncing off of the other silver parts and so on. So anyways, also, I just want to thank my patrons who have been on around for 9 and 5 months. Will Flaherty, Kuzak, thank you again. Support the channel. Go take a look at my Patreon. You'll get some exclusive videos, advanced content, all sorts of fun stuff. Go take a look at that as well. And anyways, yeah, so again, look at, you can see the mithril. It covers up really well, by the way. This metallic is one that I like, pretty much one of my favorite ones so far in the metallics range that covers very well. It covers up the black very well, but again, like I said, you don't need a second coat. But you know, it has a little bit of the black coming through, so it's a little thin. If you water it down a bit, or you can put some medium into it and all that, it can almost act like a speed paint, but that it actually covers really well, and it gives you that nice shine as well. And again, I'm using the exact same paints on both models here, but just a white primer and a black primer. So if you didn't saw the title and you're just catching on right now, that's what this is all about, to test and see how Warpaints Fanatics work on different primers. Just coming in with a quick red tone now to go on top of all the red to get the shading done, because like I said, it doesn't shade a ton with the white, especially on the black with the second coating, so you know, you want to come back and do a little bit. Now at one point I do another tone on this miniature, and I could have technically put it on top of the red as well and put it everywhere. It would have saved me some time, because this red one isn't doing that much. Now there is a dark red tone that could have maybe darkened it down a little bit, got a little bit more in the recesses, but I just wanted to get some coloration into the recesses, not to make it just flat. These colors are a tad flat when it comes to the Warpaints Fanatics. Some of them are a little bit more glossy-ish. They're not glossy, they're glossy-ish. Partly glossy. They have a little shine to them. Not much, but the red and the yellow here are pretty flat. Matte black for the hair. Of course, I won't do it on the guy with the black primer because the hair is already black, so that saved me a little bit of time right there. And then we move on. We're going to be doing the bases now with some Dusty Skull, putting this brown everywhere here. And again, it's fun that CMON put bases on these guys. They put a whole bunch of cool background kind of stuff to make it more popping. But the problem is that some of it gets in the way of the miniature. Some of the miniature gets in the way of the terrain features. And sometimes you hit your miniature, sometimes you hit the terrain. It's not bad if you hit the terrain, you can paint as you're painting over. But then when you've already painted a miniature and you hit it again, you got to come back and fix it and clean it up and do on and so forth. But this Dusty Skull is doing a great job for an earth color, and you're going to see that whenever I put on a wash later, it's actually going to do a really good job again doing all the nooks and crannies. And I was going to do a dry brush, but don't have to. You can just let it look the way it is. Again, I'm just skipping over some of the areas because there is a lot, you know, going on here. And one thing I didn't show and I forgot to record was this helmet, and you guys can tell me what it is. The zombie hero here has a helmet that's silver and pink metallic. I don't know who that is. I don't know who it's referencing to. Doesn't ring a bell with me. So if you know, and a lot of you always do know, comment down below and let me know who that person should be or who has that helmet on a normal day. Alright, so I brought in a dark tone with some wash medium because I wanted it to be not super thick. I want it to be just, you know, thin enough to get into the recesses and not darken down the whole miniature. It does a good job on the earth color here on the Dusty Skull, and it just does it just a little bit. But again, I'm focusing it more on the areas that it needs it. And I do hit some of the red, I hit some of the yellow, and I decided, okay, I'm going to put some on top of that as well. But it was mostly for the metallics and the earth here. And then once that dried, I'm going to come back in and do a little bit more work on the zombie version and all that. And that'll be pretty much the only way you're going to tell which one's a zombie version and all that. But what I do is I let this dry quite a bit first, just so that it doesn't come off or anything like that, or mix into the next paint I'm using, which is going to be death metal. First, we're going to be doing on the zombie or the hero version. We're doing these pipes or these like things that are sticking out of those brick walls or the balusters or whatever they are, the columns here that are broken. There's some pipes sticking out. So I figured, you know what, I said I was going to use the same paint on both. The only difference one is I'm not using on both is the last one, which is going to zombify Colossus. And what I mean by that is I'm putting it in this part here where the flesh ripped and is exposing like darker metals. I also put in his mouth the death metal and his eyes to make him pop. And then I use some fresh rust to just cover up around the areas, like as if it's getting rusty because of the exposure to the zombie version of this guy, and just having some fun with it. And there you have it, folks. Colossus Hero and Zombie Mode from Marvel Zombies has been painted and are both ready for the table. Hope you're enjoying these Marvel Zombies videos, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. I want to thank you guys for watching.